Okay, welcome along to October's PeriClinic. And because October is menopause month, we thought we would talk about seasonal changes, which can kind of mean just, changing seasons through the year, but also kind of in light of menopause month, it was also about the change of season in our lives. That's kind of how we linked it all in somehow. First up, let's do a quick round of intros so you can all let me know who you are and what you do. I'm going to start with Leslie, who's at a tennis court, by the way.
Thanks. So I'm Leslie. I'm a registered dietitian, personal trainer, and a nervous system expert. And I really help women like get to the bottom layer of like what's going on under the surface. As my son here talks to me. But to get to what's going on under the surface, like lovely interruptions. There's your tennis racket, bud. Like lovely interruptions and like wondering how you have a clear thought in seasonal changes and all the good things. So that's what I
Awesome.
do in a nutshell.
Joe?
Hello. I was scribbling notes there. I was listening to what Leslie was saying. Hi, I'm Jo. I am a therapist in the UK. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, psychotherapist, and mindfulness teacher. And I tend to help women seasonally, kind of taps in really well with what I do. I help women with lots of stuff around energy shifting around the wheel of the year as we go through seasonally, and how that does impact us, our own personal energy. Most of my work is done with helping women cope with anxiety, brain fog, hot flashes, insomnia, and things like that.
And which you haven't just mentioned in that, but which is totally relevant, you do lots of stuff around like full moons and stuff.
I do, yeah. I tie in, so a lot of what I do is seasonal around, if you think about the percentage of water that we are as humans, it would be unreasonable to think that we don't get affected by things like tidal pulls, and the moon in particular has such an impact on water on the planet. And I strongly believe it has an impact on our water within our bodies at the same time. And so a lot of what I do around the kind of the seasonal moon phase activity every sort of 29.5 days tends to tie in quite well with women as well, and a framework for living, a framework for understanding how our energy fluctuates and how these pulls can have an effect on how we feel and what we feel we can and can't do.
Amazing.
And I know we see this in the group. Sorry to cut.
Yes, we do see this in the Facebook group.
Oh, we do. We see the impact of it.
Yes, we certainly see the impact of the moon.
We can circle back to that.
We can indeed. Sahar, this is the first time you've joined us on a PeriClinic.
I know, how exciting. Finally, isn't it?
I know. So tell us, I mean, I know what you do, but...
So I'm Sahar Hootie. I'm a traditional acupuncture practitioner, aromatherapist, and I'm the founder of the Press, Pulsate, Pause method because I'm an author.
Yes!
Thank you. And the book has just come out on World Perimenopause Day, just gone. So it's called The Pocket Guide to Perimenopause. And ladies, are you ready for this? Casually, as I've got a needle in my hand. It is the world's very first women's health book that is interactive, and it has QR codes. So it's got instructions for all your symptoms. And then when you scan the QR code, it takes you to a video. So there's me going, right, this is how you press on it. And my mission is to bring traditional healthcare to your home. So when you're in a meltdown moment, this process will help you. So let's say you've got hot flashes, go into the book. It gives you affirmations, Persian wisdom, healing breath rituals, and then the advanced acupressure point. And then you just, with that method, you just take your mind off that moment. And as you gradually keep doing it, the slogan is 2 minutes a day keeps the peri away. Then you realize you can manage your symptoms better.
Amazing.
Wow. And I mean, I just kind of bring you all together. I feel like such a fraud by comparison with how kind of utterly epic you guys are. Anyway, there we are. So I'll just be the gobby one with the cloak.
No, but you set this whole thing up in the first place. Without you, none of this would actually exist. So let's not diminish that.
I just hear the amazing stuff that you guys all do.
Thank you.
Like, wow.
I did say to you, Emily, in the beginning that I have thanked you at the end of my book because
I'm very excited
you
about
planted the seed in my head. You always believed in me. And through my own perimenopause journey, this book came alive. It's one of the best things I did, honestly. Thank you.
Wow, that's amazing.
Awesome. Awesome. Right. Before I get all emotion, I'm going to
Let's
bring
not
it
do
back,
that.
bring it back. Come on,
Say
Emily,
that to
pull it
the end.
together.
Come on.
God, I've been out for a really long walk up a big Scottish hill today. I'm feeling a little bit. Ooh. So, anyway, so seasonal changes. Now, referring to the fact that I mentioned Scotland, we recently moved to Scotland. I am feeling the seasonal changes big time this year. Wow, being this much further north makes a difference. Really interesting. So I'm just going to do a quick round of comments with everyone about light and getting daylight into your day, because I hadn't realized how important it is. But I mean, here already, it's not getting light until about 8 o'clock in the morning, and it's dark again by about +5, and it's only mid-October.
Yeah.
So, who wants to go first about just the importance of light and outdoors and air and all of the good nature things?
Well, if you think about what it does to your brain, for a start,
Right.
I mean, I read something a while back. I'm a bit of a brain nerd, as you know, and I read something, and I know you shouldn't live in sound bites, but sometimes they cut through, right? And I heard this thing, and it said if you let the light from your screen or your phone hit your eyes and your brain before you've been outside and let the light of the world hit your eyes and your brain, it does something very weird. It kind of primes your brain for chaos and kind of gets us ready for feeling scrambled throughout the rest of the day, because it's not natural. So we have a thing within us which is very deeply rooted as humans, the eco psychology of being around water, being around daylight, being around green, and what it actually does to us on a really primitive cellular level is incredible. So that's my kind of little snippet in terms of light.
So, taking that to its natural conclusion, the phone should be being charged in the shed at the bottom of the garden.
Well, ideally, but who does
Do
that?
you know what I mean?
Really?
Because then you would have to get lights before you
That would be
before
a
you
good
were able to start
solution.
doom scrolling.
That would be a good solution, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Or it's certainly deprioritized in terms of what does my body need first today.
Love that.
Phones aren't the enemy, it's just how we use them. So yeah, it's more about what do my basic needs consist of at the very start of this day in terms of
Yeah.
light, if we're talking about light right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Leslie, what are your thoughts? Because obviously you're a personal trainer among many other things. So I'm sure being outdoors is a big part of your thing.
Yeah, I mean, well, I also live in Spain, right? So everything is outdoors. Like I don't have
Right.
central heating or cooling or anything. It's always really fresh air. And while I, work out in a covered area, it's outside, right? But agreed to what Joe was saying. I've done a lot of research on like red light glasses. So like buying red light glasses. So if like, when it gets dark at 5 p.m. in most places, it's like, so wait, now you're telling me I technically after dark and in the morning should not have my phone or watch TV or whatever, and people are like, what is this? And so you can buy like actual glasses that turn everything into like a mutual looking for your eyes. But agreed with the nervous system piece of like needing the light. Now, if you're like you or me, the sun doesn't come up here until 8 or 8:05. I have to wake up my kids before the sun comes up. And it's like, so it doesn't work like that. I can't like wait to expose them to it. So I bought red lights that like they don't attach to the wall, but you can carry around red lights to kind of like ease them into the daylight to help them. But a lot of times, we're still starting breakfast before there's enough sun. So we
Yeah.
do turn on the natural light, but I get them. So we do a couple of things. We do some nervous system tools. Like I can't right now because I'm holding my phone, but if you cross your arms over your chest and you do shoulder taps, every other shoulder taps, there you go. Just like Joe is showing, just like you're showing, right? That's just kind of like a way to like also tell your system that you're safe, you're waking up, right? And so we typically do those things when we start to turn the light on in our house. But then we spend a majority of our day in natural light. I don't allow lights in my house to be turned on if the natural light is on outside. Like I just don't.
Agreed.
I
Yeah.
keep it to a minimum as possible. And that's kind of what I would tell people. Like just be cautious of that and get yourself out in the sunlight. I come from a long line of women who like we have like seasonal depression, right? Come January, February, it's that like there is not enough light, it is too dark, I am so whatever. And so I always purposely put myself outside even though it was freezing, right? And so it's important to do, but not in a guilt trippy way, right? It's like, okay, I'm purposely going to try to get myself outside, and then I'm going to take these other mechanisms. Maybe I buy the red light glasses, maybe I don't, but I'm more cautious of when I'm addressing these things in my body, if that makes sense.
Lovely.
Totally.
Yeah.
Sahar, what are your thoughts on daylight?
So I'll come at it from a traditional Chinese medicine perspective. So the foundations of Chinese medicine, if we take science away from it, is yin and yang. And yin is everything inward, yang is everything outward. And so light is yang. And we need yin and yang to have a great balance, both internally, externally, in every aspect of life, right? So light, as you can tell by its name, it gives motivation. It pushes everything to bring everything into balance. So you've had a night of calm, a night of nice yin, and then in the morning we need that yang to then nourish us so that we can get on with our day. Personally, I feel if you have night sweats and hot flashes, let's bring it to perimenopause, then that time of night, your yang has been active, okay? And then add to the mix that in the morning, you do not have the light, let's call the yang, then you're going to wake up so exhausted. In return, what that does, you're not getting the chance to ignite your cells, right? In return, your immunity becomes weakened, doesn't it? And so then if we bring it back to Chinese medicine perspective, that links to your kidneys, and the kidneys are there to nourish your brain, to nourish your bones. And then think about it, you're going to have this lethargy that you're carrying with you already before your day's even started. So that just sets the tone for what's to come, I guess. Does that make sense?
I know for me, from a completely personal perspective, many years ago, I used to live in the Alps, and so winters were snowy and snow reflects light. And so whilst the days were shorter, the light you got was so strong that, you know, mood felt kind of pretty stable year round. And I remember when I first moved back to the UK, albeit way further south than I am now, I was so acutely aware of how in the winter, certainly in cities, light just kind of gets absorbed by the buildings. Less so where Leslie is in Spain because the buildings are much lighter, but you know, a lot of the UK has quite grey buildings and stuff, and I just felt like all the light was getting absorbed. And I actually looked into the number of lumens that you're getting in a snow reflecty place versus winter in the UK, and the number, it was something like 10,000 versus 500. And I was like, oh, this would explain a lot. So I got myself just a little one of those like daylight lamps instead of ones that you can just sit in front of for kind of 10 minutes in the morning. And I remember when it first arrived, I got excited. I got home from work, opened the box, oh, it's here, and put it on. I hadn't realised quite how powerful that is and that you need to use it in the morning.
So you were
I
up
did
all
not
night.
sleep that night. But it showed me the power of, you know, bright light and yes, the red light things and avoiding blue screens and all the rest. But it was only on that sort of deep dive, and this was years ago now, the number of lumens just generally, you know, coming from the natural light and seeing how you could replicate that now. And, you know, since we've moved up to here, I have bought a daylight lamp thing for myself and for my partner, just so that we can, on the days when we maybe can't get outside for whatever reason, we can still, you know, get something.
That's a really good idea.
So yeah, it's an interesting one. But so yeah, so that's the kind of seasonal change. And obviously, as it works out on this call, we're all from the Northern Hemisphere. So we're all in the same time of year when we're talking about the days getting shorter. Apologies to people in the Southern Hemisphere when you're going, what? It's really nice at the moment. It's about to be summer. We're like, yeah, okay, it's not here. Soz. So seasonal changes, then the other aspect of that is where we are in life, in this season in life. I'm going to come to Jo first on this one because I think you're going to have some wisdom for us.
This is a biggie, a huge thing. I mean, this forms a massive part of the women's circles that I run, online and in person. It's how we come to terms with, if you looked at the timeline of a human and we imagined that spring is kind of, you know, childhood, teenage, and then summer is, you know, full fertility, if you like, autumn, and then we're heading into winter. If you look at that as a timeline of a human, a lot of women really struggle. We know this to be true from our perimenopause hub. So many women are really, I can't really give it enough gravitas here. They're so halted in being themselves and losing that connection with themselves, because the thought of going into this autumn phase of life is absolutely terrifying. A lot of the reason for that is because of the societal meaning we've attached to it and the expectations culturally around the world, but particularly in the UK and, you know, Northern Hemisphere, should we say, as we're talking about that, is how we view it based on what society has reflected back to us. And so we anticipate a lot of what going through this autumnal phase of perimenopause and into menopause actually means. We come at it from all different angles as well. Some women come into this phase of their life, rarely, but some do, fully knowing what to expect, knowing what's happening, being totally comfortable with it. I would say they're in the minority compared to most of the women that I talk to.
Who knew it was going to come but did not know what it was going to actually look like.
Or, you know, all these other things around too young. This is a big concept. It's a huge thing that happens for us. The spoiler alert being that you can be 43, 53, 63, you still feel 15 inside. I don't think you're ever really prepared, and nobody warns you what is going on or what's about to happen. And I know we're changing the tide on that, which is brilliant. But a lot of it is mismatched expectation, anticipatory anxiety around what's to come, because our brains are powerful prediction machines that want to know what's going to happen, and we can't have that knowledge, so it feels deeply unsettling. So a lot of the work that I tend to do with women, it sounds a bit woolly, is around acceptance. Acceptance does not mean just going, oh well, never mind, let's have another biscuit. It doesn't mean that. Acceptance is powerful, acceptance is transformative, and acceptance is about being prepared to meet yourself where you are in that moment and go, yep, this is happening, without attaching anything else to it, any other story, any other narrative, any other meaning, just saying right now in this moment, this is happening. And because this can coexist, I am also safe in this moment. And it's about balancing those two things out and building them. And I know Leslie does this hugely brilliantly with her nervous system work that she does as well.
Well, and Saha with all the acupuncture, I mean, that is literally doing this.
It all ties in brilliantly.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of just going around the circle as I see it.
Yeah.
It's really good. We all tie in. Everything that we do as a group of expert therapists together all ties into this central concept of just feeling safe within as we go through this transitional phase.
One thing I've observed, which I think ties in with what you're saying, Jo, and this is this thing of still feeling like you're 15 inside, I think. I have observed a lot in the Facebook group that there is a decent sized percentage, I'm not going to try and put a number on it, of women in that group who, for want of a better way of putting it, are viewing perimenopause and menopause as the beginning of the end. Right. Like they're done.
Yeah.
They are now old. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm only halfway through at best. Like I fully intend to live to my mid to late 90s. So I'm just getting started. And I find that a really interesting thing. And I'm not going to dig right into that right now. But I think a lot of it is I guess it's cultural, I guess it's familial. You know, I have a family of longevity, you know, it just happens to be a thing in my family. And I guess a lot of families don't have that. So, you know, if you had witnessed a parent die young, you're going to have a very different outlook on this kind of midlife thing to the outlook I'm going to have.
Absolutely. There's two kind of main things that go on there. By the way, if I'm only halfway through, I need to be 106 when I die for it to be.
Yeah, well, I'll have to be 98. I'm
aiming for that. I'm going for that. Yeah. There's two things going on. One of which is how So we view the world through our lens of perception, which is different for all of us. And as you quite rightly said, it's about how you view life, whether you view it as a trial, an accident, or a gift, or a combination of all three of those things. And how you see the world informs what you feel your capacity is within it. And secondly, we don't have a template for going through perimenopause. We don't have a sat-nav destination, so we don't really visualize our route to be able to get there. And so that's two of the things that we kind of need to just dig into gently in this work, is how do I, it's a life reevaluation. How do I see life? Do I see it as a gift? Do I see it as an accident? Do I see it as a trial to be endured? Or is there somewhere in the middle? What bits feel like what? And then secondly, if we were going to just gently do a bit of breath work, do a bit of somatic soothing, and then go, okay, so what would my ideal template of getting through perimenopause and into menopause look like if I was the best version of myself? Let's create that. What would it look like? What would it feel like? What conversations would I be having? What would I be wearing? What would I do day in, day out that brought me meaning and joy? All of those kind of questions, we can then start to widen it out. But first we have to do the soothing, which is what these two other ladies are amazing at.
Okay, I'm coming to Sahar next. Go on.
So I was so in awe of what Jo was saying. Can you just repeat the question, please?
It was just kind of about, with taking the seasonal changes being where we are in our life rather than in the year.
Okay. Yeah.
How do we kind of temper our outlook on that? How do we find the best route through for ourselves? You know.
Thank you. So I feel this topic, it now makes sense, because we are literally, our lives are seasons, aren't they? Each phase is a chapter. And so this is definitely a seasonal shift, no matter what age you're at. Like Jo was saying, some people are young. People look at me and go, oh, but you're too young to have perimenopause. No, mine happened, my mum was the same age as me when she had it. Do you know what I mean? So it's all relative, isn't it? For me, this is my transitioning phase. And I always say for this season, I actually feel at my peak, to be honest, even though I've been struggling a lot with symptoms that now I'm trying to manage. I feel it's a great reminder. It's like all of a sudden, you know, I get really excited when spring hits, okay? Because I'm like, oh, you know, in my mind, and you know, I'm like, oh, everything renews. And as you know, spring, we celebrate Persian New Year, so it's like you set New Year resolutions. Everything's so exciting. I feel with perimenopause, it's given me a new lease of life, that I have this opportunity to restart things. No more bullshitting, no more yes person anymore. Do you know what I mean? I have the capability, purely because I'm already suffering with signs and symptoms. I don't need extra BS in my life. Yeah.
Very true.
So this is a season for me to thrive. And at the same time, I think back, because when I was a little girl, I used to think people died when they turned 40, right?
Right.
I really did. So during lockdown 4 years ago, I turned 40, and I thought, tuck myself in like Winnie the Pooh. And in the morning, I was like, oh my God, I'm alive. You know, do you know what I mean? And now I'm thinking, what a privilege that we are going through this seasonal change, because our ancestors, they never made it to our age, did they?
Very true.
So,
yeah.
And our generation, millennials and are the 70s called Gen X? Yeah, yeah. We are the first generation, like, to actually talk about perimenopause, aren't we? Because the women before us suffered in silence. They did not have this opportunity. So I feel this is our season, baby. Let's add this to the year. This is our perimenopause season. And yeah, I'm all for it.
Absolutely. It's really interesting what you say about thinking that at 40, you know, just sort of life fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
I think as kids, we have really interesting take on this stuff, don't we? I thought that by 25, I would, obviously, I'd be married with kids, because that's what you do by 25. And by 25, you're really old. Then I didn't really know what else would happen. But because my great grandmother lived to 94, I was like, well, clearly then just all this other stuff happens. I don't really know what. And then eventually in your 90s you die, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just so funny how we have, like, we all frame it differently.
Isn't it? I remember my parents' 30th birthdays really clearly and thinking, God, they're so old. My parents had us relatively young. And now I'm 53 and I think, God, I'm 23 years older than them being really old.
Exactly. Yeah. Leslie, what are your thoughts on sort of season in life?
Okay, so I just have to say this because of where this conversation is going. I am 40 as of today. Um,
Uh-huh. I know.
Happy
Happy
so,
birthday.
birthday!
so I was like, this is hilarious that we're going down this birthday road of like
Sorry,
all
I
the
didn't mean
things
to say that.
because no, I love it. I love it because I was literally thinking today, like, I remember my parents and like the like over the hill signs in the front yard and like the things like that. And I like had this moment today where I cried, and I'm gonna try not to cry here from like happy reasons. And I was just like, I'm not over a damn hill. Like, what does it even mean? What hill am I over? Like, and if so, I'm over the hill of like the bullshit
Yeah,
part in the curse word, but the bullshit,
Right.
like I'm over that, right? Like, I'm like, huh. I'm finally at that phase where I was like, wow, that was like, I'm 40 and you're acting like we're 12 again in this relationship. So I don't need this relationship, right? Like, and like that feels good. It's this empowerment phase. But in this season of everything and like talking about like perimenopause and stuff, I made a post the other day about just like where I was at 40 in comparison to 30. And somebody was like, when did your perimenopause journey started? I was like, because you want to prove that my journey is different than yours, right? And I think the thing that I want everybody to know that it doesn't matter for all four of us. I bet you we could sit down and chronologically write everything out and none of us would match out.
right,
But the difference is that we decided in our brains that this was going to be an empowerment era. And that's what I think the biggest seasonal change is it's like, okay, I get to do all this and live my life. And I'm living at the best time because one, I love acupuncture. I do it all the time. I love hypnotherapy. I've seen a hypnotherapist before, and I absolutely love nervous system work, right? It's like we get to try it on for size.
Mhm.
And it's awesome to have all of these different avenues because if you're like, okay, well, I like that, but like, I really don't like having the needle stuck in my body. Okay. Because some people get weirded out from that, whereas I don't mind it at all.
Don't
Right.
mind it
It's
at all.
like,
No, not
okay,
me.
so maybe I sit down, I do some hypnotherapy. Maybe I learn how to use pressure points on my own body, right? It's like we live in this perfect place of like being able to have it all, even in our 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s, right? And as you were saying, like halfway through life, and I was like, I really say I want to die like in my 90s, but I'm like, actually, I wouldn't mind living to 108 as long as I am still
Yeah.
traveling the world. And to do that, I'm going to need all of these tools, right? Because when I'm traveling the world, I'm going to need to know how to use pressure points when my body's exhausted to get myself to sleep or whatever, right? Like, and I just feel like that is the way that we need to view this seasonal change from an empowerment of like, I'm going to go onward to show myself just how much more awesome I get to be at this age. And like, note how I said myself, because this is where we get to be like, okay, I don't have to measure my self worth to other people. I don't have to measure all these things. I just get to choose for me. And that's where you need these tools, the safety in your body, cultivating safety in your body, listening to hypnotherapy, having people tell us how to help our bodies to feel good. And I think that's really where I feel like the seasonal change can be more like uplifting. Like just decide that you don't want this to be the thing that is going to put you in the wheelchair, right? I don't know if you guys follow Dr. Vonda Wright, but she's kind of like a big perimenopause, menopause person. She's a surgeon in the States. She does
Mm.
hip replacements. I love it. Cool. And she does like hip replacements. And she was talking about something about how most women like won't even get their incontinence taken care of until they have a hip fracture.
Yeah,
And then they literally cannot pee because they're in so much pain.
yeah,
And I'm like, why not just go get
Right.
help? I know it's a weird procedure, but like you get over it, like, and then you feel better. And my goal is to feel better every day as I age, right? And I think that should be the seasonal change. Like instead of letting ourselves, hit 40 and then go over the hill, we're going to hit 40 and we're going to rise to the top of the mountain and we're going to be standing up there for everybody else to figure out the way, you
yeah.
know?
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Love
and I
that,
think
Leslie.
Yeah.
I think
Thanks.
keeping with the seasonal analogy, and like two of you have talked about, just spinning off the bullshit. It's like we're go with my analogy here, right? You
I'm
all know
hanging
me,
on.
okay? Um,
Love
it's
it.
like we're trees, right? And we're just the leaves are coming off. We're like, do you know what? That's another bit I don't need, and another bit, and another bit, and another bit. And then we get the joy of going and shushing through the leaves and getting rid of it.
Nice. I love it.
I love it too.
My
I
brain does work very
agreed.
strangely,
I
I promise.
visualized
I love
all of
it.
that. I visualized it. I
Yeah.
was the tree. Love
A
it.
good
Yeah.
metaphor, really good. I think it's a great phase for sloughing off stuff that no longer serves us really well. And that the letting go bit is actually one of the hardest things to do, but it's so useful when we can cast that off and go, I'm choosing not, it is a conscious decision. It's a conscious choice to go, I am deliberately not going to worry about that anymore because it doesn't serve me to do that. It's sapping my energy. It is changing the way I feel about my body, the way I feel about myself. So to consciously make a decision, it's easier said than done. We have some tools to help that process, obviously, but to make that intentional decision to say, yeah, do you know what? I'm done with this. I'm done with worrying about this particular thing anymore because I probably can't solve it. It's probably out of my control. But I'm now choosing from this point in to regulate the impact that it has on me moving forward.
And I think you've really hit the nail on the head there, that there's two different mindsets generally in the world of the kind of stuff's happening to me and I'm powerless, or stuff is happening and I can choose how I respond to it.
Absolutely.
And I think I would love to wave a magic wand and make that all of the 160,000 women in that Facebook group, I mean, ridiculous. I would love to wave a magic wand for each of them to realize that we're all going through symptoms, we're all going through stuff, we're all experiencing the disruption of hormonal change, but each of us individually can choose to see a positive in that versus a negative in that. And I'm not for a second saying that having a bloated belly isn't really uncomfortable. Of course it is. I'm not saying that night sweats aren't really irritating. I'm not saying, I'm not for a second belittling the symptoms. And I would hate to think anybody thought I was, but I think when you kind of take matters into your own hand and go, right, what do I need? Do I need more self-care, more time for myself? Do I need more boundaries? Do I need more? What do I need more of? And therefore, what do I need less of? Then actually, we start to become stronger in that moment, don't we?
We really do. Yeah.
The tree doesn't need its leaves in the autumn, so it gets rid of them.
Love it.
It does. In order for us to do that analytical processing, though, of what do I need in this moment, that's quite a cognitive thing to do.
Absolutely.
And I think that one of the things that we do need to acknowledge for all of us is that soothing has to come first. So finding the things to go to that are soothing and then clears the space at the top for us to then do that really beautiful cognitive processing of what is it that I actually need. Because otherwise we're just like, oh, I haven't got time to worry about what I actually need. I'm just too busy being kind of panicked and frightened by these symptoms I'm having. So you're absolutely right. It is a two-pronged thing. Soothe, then focus on what you need, move that forward, and then rinse and repeat.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're a generation who've been brought up to be told we can have it all, that we should have it all, that we must have it all, blah, blah, blah. It's difficult starting to say no to things. It's difficult starting to prioritize yourself. It's really difficult.
Yeah.
That's a topic for another day.
We will.
Because we know that boundaries is one of my topics I can talk about for months. I won't do that. So instead, bring it back, Emily. Let's have a quick final roundup of bearing in mind what we've talked about with seasonal changes, and whether you look at that from a time of year perspective or a time of life perspective, what would be 3 things you would suggest to a client, to a friend, to yourself, to help you best manage the seasonal changes, whether yearly or life related?
I'll go.
Go.
Um, Especially because my 3 play together, and I'm paraphrasing this off of other people that have taught me. But if we're going to go through a seasonal change, if we're going to have something like that, my first thought process is you have to stop. Right? You have to stop. If you're listening to this, you're stopping, right? You're like, there has to be something else out there for me, right? But to stop. So when the brain gets overloaded and we're overloaded with all the things, is literally stop and then signal some sort of safety to your body, right? So it can be going out and hugging a tree. It can be going for a walk. It can be going into the daylight. It could be, I don't know, staring at a picture. You know, it's like me in the picture, me in the picture, me in the picture, right? Or feeling yourself grounded, or, you know, the shoulder taps thing that we talked about earlier, signal safety, and then go into solutions and problem solving and what do I need here? Because if we don't start with stopping and signaling safety, the solutions we'll come up with in this phase will never answer our question because we're probably asking the wrong question in the beginning. And the question might be like, how do I stop this hot flash? How do I stop this season of life? We're going to come up with an irrational answer if we're not coming from a grounded self, right? We're not going to be clear enough. So we stop, we signal safety, and then we go to solutions. And maybe the solution is, I don't know. So I'm going to go to the Perry Hub group and I'm going to look up all these experts and follow them and figure out which one I resonate most with or whatever. Right. And that could be the solution. But stopping, signaling safety, and then going onward to your solution so it can be right for you instead of just like, you know, maybe it means I'm gonna go to Kentucky Fried Chicken tonight instead, you know, like let's get a deeper answer to the problem here that you're really looking for. So that's what I would say.
I love it. Saha, what do you think for the three things?
Right. Number one, I would say accept this season. Do not resist it. Don't be in denial. It's happening. Whether you like it or not, it's happening. And I truly know it's easier said than done, because when I got my doctor called me on my birthday to say, you know, this is this. It was, yeah. And I thought, right. I cried 2 days in a row, even though I knew I was perimenopausal anyway. I cried 2 days in a row. Then I thought, right, this is it. New phase. That's when I got my power from within. Psyche is very important. Number two, I would say, don't lose sight of family and friends, because when you're in the seasonal change, you think it's better to be in your own little shell, because a lot of times we all say this, my patients say this, we feel we lose a part of ourselves. So we're not the same bubbly person. We're not the same, I'll comment, not the same Sahar. So I'll avoid people. Actually, it's the best way to get around with your family and friends. You recognize who you want to spend more time with, who gives you more joy, and you reciprocate that. Do you know what I mean? Then number three, I mean, I have to do shameless plugging. Get this book. Number three. This is having me in your pocket, an traditional acupuncturist in your pocket. Why not take a resource of 3,000 years worth of ancient wisdom, modernize it, add a little spice to it? Why not take matters into your own hand? Gives you all the tools, how to talk to your doctor, how to take care of yourself at home. It's got a chapter on how to talk to your loved ones, your husband, your partners, your kids. It has a chapter, surround them all together and talk about what's going on with you, because you know what? We are not sick. We are not sick. And I land.
Love it.
And I mean, off the back of that, Joe.
Well, how do I follow that? I suppose mine are a bit broader in terms of both the season in terms of the year, but also the season of life as well. So my three things are, again, it starts with a stop. Stop expecting everything to be the same. Stop expecting everything to stay the same, whether it's about the season of the year or the season of your life. You've been changing since you were born. Why would you expect everything to still be the same all the way through life? So it feels a bit harsh, like an instruction, but just lean into, am I expecting everything to stay the same? What's that about? So that's number one. Number two is look at, have you attached your self-worth to productivity? Have you made part of your identity only about what your output is, what you get done, what you represent to other people, your role in the world, rather than it about you as a person and what you love and what brings you meaning? So that's number two. And then secondly, these are all kind of journal questions really that you can sort of do some reflection on. And then the third one is notice where you are striving. Where are you pushing? Because we can only push things in one direction, and that's away from us. Where are you pushing? Where are you striving? And then kind of just reflect on why, what for, and for who. So those are my three things really. Expectation around change. Productivity does not equal self-worth, or self-worth does not equal productivity, whichever way you want to do that. And then looking at striving, achieving and moving forward is very different. Striving is, Are we just hustling? Are we just trying to get to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing? Why? For who? What's that all about?
Right. I'm going to add 3 just because I can.
Yes.
So mine would always, and I feel like I bring this topic back to it every single topic we ever talk about, but get outside, get in nature. It always helps. You never come back from a walk thinking, shouldn't have gone on that walk. You always come back. And, you know, that makes me sound terribly ableist. Go for a walk, get outside, just get outside in whatever capacity you can, get daylight. Accept, and again, it's that acceptance where I know, Jo, it's got all sorts of subtexts and connotations going in with it, but allow for changes.
Yeah.
So if we think of perimenopause and menopause as a second puberty, I certainly view it like that. My body changed hugely. My mindset changed. I changed through puberty. I became me at 10 was very different to me at 18. Still the same basic sense of humor and kindness to animals and stuff, but I was a really different person by then. Well, it stands to reason that through another sort of similar hormonal decade or so, we're going to be different by the end to how we were at the beginning. And that will be in terms of body shape, that will be in terms of outlook on life, in terms of, but your core essence of who you are will stay the same. So let your core essence still be a kind person, still be a decent human, but accept that maybe you will say no to more things. Maybe you will be a bit firmer about having boundaries. Maybe you will be a bit less concerned about doing all things for all people. And maybe that's a good thing. And then my third thing would be, haven't really thought this through. Sorry, I'm now like totally winging it, having set the task of 3 things.
I know when you talk about a lot, if you want a prompt.
I'm actually not going to go there. I'm not going there. No, I'm actually going to tie in with what Leslie said and work out what help you want and look at how you can find that help, because actually none of us need to be going through this on our own. This is why on the hub we have a panel of experts, is so that nobody has to go through this alone. And all of the experts have oodles of free resources as well as their paid resources. So it's not even as though it's kind of like, oh God, well, I can't afford that, so I'm just going to have to carry on struggling. No. Like Jo has, loads of like audios to help you manage anxiety. Leslie has oodles of videos and pieces that can help people to, do the sort of the nervous system reset stuff. Saha's got her book. I don't know if she's mentioned it, but Saha has a book.
Is
right?
she? No.
I know. And again, okay, that's not a free resource, but it's not an expensive resource. And yes, of course, if for any of us, if we want to get the one-to-one stuff, we pay for it. But actually, there's such a lot, and there's such a lot that we can do. And if, we all come at this from being busy and having too much time, but you know what, we all have time to doom scroll.
Yeah.
So maybe if we just substitute a little bit of doom scroll time for finding the time just to listen to one video from one of each of you guys, or whatever, that would support us through this sort of seasonal change so much more than just kind of trying to ignore it and trying to stay the same.
I love that. I love that.
I got a bit wordy there, sorry.
No, I love it. The irony, Emily, is that this, in my opinion, is the foundation of what all us women are in that hub for. This should have or could be a live, do you know what I mean, on the actual hub, because all of them will benefit from what we've just spoken about today.
We do this deliberately this way. I know, but we do this PeriClinic deliberately this way, and it is in its infancy, it is growing, but this is a deliberate free resource that we run every single month for women to submit questions if they want to. Join us.
So they don't attend these.
They can attend.
They can attend, or they get the replay. But also, in a technical term, Zoom stopped doing the link up to be able to do lives into Facebook groups.
And it also deletes lives now.
So we record it and we put it to various places. Fabulous.
I really enjoyed today. It helped me. Thank you, ladies. Honestly, it's been so good. Yeah.
Thank you all for your
Same.
time. And I'm going to stop recording now because I think we've imparted a lot there.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. It was really
Cool.
great.
So thank you guys. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you so much. There's me thinking, what are we going to talk about? I just wanted to attend because I thought, right, I'm booking it out. I've never attended one. I really want to get involved. You know what I mean? And brilliant. Really nice
There
stuff.
we are. Awesome. Okay, stopping recording now. Thank you.